So here we go. Why did that screen go black? I overloaded it. Maybe this isn't working that well today. Oh, long story. I think I just, oh, there we go. It was still going. Yeah. I think I just hit the power button on accident as I was trying to cradle this thing. Where's the damn button? Okay, I guess I better watch my swearing since it's being recorded right now, but Michael Jones probably won't mind too much. All right. So, basically today what I want to get into is how everything is available on this shell. So if you got your laptops, you can open into the shell if you haven't done so already. And you can just follow along on your computer. Because all the links, all the stuff to the textbook, not like an e-text, but the actual textbook supplements are included in here. I've got them embedded in links on the site. So we're going to start off by doing some review, essentially. So your first 3 chapters of the book are what I'm assigning this week. And it is basically a microeconomics review. So if you look at the week 1 materials, which is what I've got up on the screen. If you click week 1, this has got the chapter coverage and this Excel app that I'll talk about in a moment, and the online study guide questions, so chapters 1, 2, and 3. And this will bring you right to some questions that are part of the textbook. They're kind of basically gimme points, but you can take the quiz multiple times and then submit it to me, and it'll record your scores instantly. Just do this in there. Yes, and that'll be your first part, just to kind of get our legs underneath us. Chapters 1, 2, and 3, it's the goal of the firm, and then chapter 3 is supply and demand. So, I mean, it's really just Econ 101. However, it's a little bit higher than Econ 101 because it does get a little bit into some equations here at some point in it, whereas for the most part, principles class, I stay away from even using equations to describe demand and supply. We're mostly stuck to graphs. So there'll be some review of, I guess, a mix of intermediate and principal stuff, chapters 1, 2, and 3. And then the big thing that this starts us off on is these Excel apps. So if you guys click on the Excel apps assignment, oops, not the Excel apps assignment, the Excel apps link. And you might have to, let's see, I can't remember how I did this here. Yeah, so under the Excel app right here, number 1, it says download the Excel app here. If you click that link, it's going to download your Excel file for you. So right now it's like a template. Yeah, it's basically a whole workbook jam-packed full of Excel sheets. And then you're going to want to save that to your local drive. And then if you open that up, your first screen will look like this. Excel Basics. And this is going to be kind of an active worksheet that you'll use to learn basics of Excel. Some of you are more advanced than others, but even when I went through it, and I consider myself to be an Excel expert, I learned some little different tricks of the trade because there's multiple ways to do some functions. So I found it helpful to do that as well. And each one of the tabs will have different sections. The author, Steve Earthful, one of the authors of the textbook, is the one who designed all this Excel stuff. And he spent an enormous amount of time putting this. So put your mouse here, Excel Basics. He gives you little tips and tricks. So he's just kind of work through the workbook, and he gives you little things to do. So the white area above the columns, just above f of x formula bar, this tells you actually entered into the active cell. So he starts you right from the very beginning. Where are you guys at with Excel, just personally? Reno?
I took a class in high school, so I
Okay.
know it came to. I just gotta remember.
So it'll be a lot of dusting off the cobwebs. You've used it in classes at OU or not?
Not very much. No.
Never used it.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's something I'd
officially,
like to change over
yeah,
time.
I've used it. I used part of it this summer, but that was more for market research. They had just rows and rows and columns of data that I went through and checked and edited and stuff. But
You didn't really manipulate the data very much, yeah. So we'll get into data manipulation and moving rows and columns and deleting and refining, and we're gonna get pretty over the top with it. And like I said to someone before, previous graduates said that was a question all the time during their interviews. Do you know Excel? And after coming out of this class, if you guys really work this material, you should be comfortable with that and be able to jump into an employment situation and be able to handle some of the Excel. In fact, you will probably have done some things that they've never done with Excel because we'll be doing regression within Excel. And that might even be a talking point actually during your interviews to say, well, yeah, we ran some regression. And like,
we did that.
regression? I don't even know what that is.
We did it in high school calculus.
You did some regression?
Yeah.
No. Really?
I think so.
That's not necessarily a calculus thing. So I'd be surprised if it was, you might have did some derivatives and other things, but maybe you did.
We were
I'd be
linear regression models. And
statistics maybe, not so much calculus.
we did it in calculus.
Did you take Tyner's statistics class here?
Yeah.
Okay, he introduces you to single variable regression, I think, in that section. So, and that's part of what we'll be doing. So these tabs, referencing tabs, how that works. I'm just kind of introducing it to you today. About equations, the Excel rules. So this is all how to do Excel stuff. And then he's got some little exercises for you to do. So it is just jam-packed full of goodies to help get you comfortable with working with data in Excel. All right, any questions there so far? So as we work through the week tabs, there'll be different worksheets that we'll do. So this was the week 1 introduction. So this is the one I want you to get started on. I also have a little video embedded in here that I created that I'm kind of what I'm doing today. But if you wanted to go back through that, I'll just pull it up here. Oops, and I don't have the audio going. I don't even know. That's because of the mixer. Anyway, it says, hi, I'm Russ McCullough. You may remember me from other previous episodes of Econ. But after I get done with my voice, it'll pretty much go to the worksheets. And that's part of what I'm doing today, but just to let you know that that's there as well if you need to look at it later. Oops, I just stopped sharing it. I just wanted to stop here. Okay. All right. So let's go to the textbook companion site. So this is our textbook. This is really open to the general public. You don't have to prove that you've got the book or anything. It's not, it doesn't give you the content of the book though, so it's It's just a companion site. If you select the home button, let's see, actually you got to go to chapter 1 first. So if you go to chapter 1, 2 across the top, it's a little awkward. It took me a little bit to see it. All of the Excel app modules are all here. And so they'll be, I have them kind of broke down into their components on Blackboard, but you can download the whole set right here. And it's a whole workbook. So you see down at the bottom, well, you got it's off screen down here. If you press this, but go ahead, you can do it if you want right now. Click here to download the whole app file, and then that's going to be 23 Excel workbooks with multiple sheets within each workbook. And it literally goes through all of the chapters of the book.
Okay.
Yeah. And so in the book, there are these little icons that you'll come across in the margin that say Excel app. And that will link, that icon is there to tell you that this problem is associated with one of the Excel apps that you have on your sheet. And so you'll, if you read the problem, it gives you a whole set of a problem. In fact, we do this one, the by the glass line. And it says Excel sheet 3.1 shows a screenshot of A1, K through 28. Basically this ends up being, this static picture here ends up being live embedded in Excel. And then you'll use that to work the problem. And at other points in the textbook, the Excel apps, especially, we're going to spend a lot of time on chapter 5, is where we really get into regression and empirical analysis with data. So then, right along with the reading, this concept of cross-sectional time series data, we'll have the Excel app. We'll go to the Excel app, there'll be some exercises and some information to learn how that works, how that particular topic works in Excel. So that's kind of the gist of it. Any questions come to mind? The quizzes, if you look at the online study guide, this is part of your required homework. So press multiple choice, and there's multiple choice questions. You guys can take this an unlimited amount of time. I expect you to get 100% on this, but it's a good way to just test yourself. Do multiple choice, and then at the end, you submit it. Submit your answers for grading. I was apparently not too lucky this time. I got incorrect on all of them. 0%. And then at the bottom, it allows you to email your results. And so you can email them to, I think this is how I have this set up here. So bear with me. There's a few things I haven't double checked. You can email it to yourself. And then, so there's email me box. And then you can upload that to Blackboard to show me that you got that score. And then I'll record it in the grade book. So. And so each of the chapters have this little quiz me function. Let's see.
The link on that Blackboard show also takes you there, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it brings you directly to that.
It just brings you, yeah.
Did you try it?
Yeah, it just brings you just to the
main.
To the quiz. It doesn't have any of the sidebars.
Okay. All right. And then also within the chapters is the week 1 test down at the bottom. So there'll be a test over those chapters 1, 2, and 3. And this one will be within Blackboard. So that's something that's already built into Blackboard. All right. So
how do you get to the test?
If you click on it, see, it'll start you. So don't begin it, but you can bring it and begin test, and then it'll start it. So don't do that right now, but yes. And that's all stays within Blackboard. That doesn't work you out to the next one. All right. So let me mention something on here. like I said, this is built around the online and directed study is what it turns out to be here. But for online people, we have doing the discussions. I'm going to have some in-class activities related to your overall paper topic. So your paper, just basically ignore the discussions. You guys won't have, unless I use that as a particular tool for some reason, but the discussion board you don't have to worry about for us here face-to-face at the campus. I think so. We'll meet weekly is the plan, and then my door will, of course, be open for regular appointments or something if you need to get into it. But once you get into these Excel sheets, in fact, I guess I wanted to pull up one of the other more complicated sheets to talk about, tee you up for regression a little bit more. So I'm going to go to the ones that I have already saved to my hard drive, which you guys should do. I'll show you all of the. Oops, this is my class. That's my graduate class. So, okay, so here's all of the apps. That one zip file will have all of these contained in it. And the other thing you might want to do, I think it's a little easier, but I'm going to leave it your option. So you see these PDFs at the bottom, part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? The author took every active page of the workbook and made it a PDF. And so I created my own little workbook here that is basically those PDFs. So there's multiple, it says part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4.
That down.
Yeah, that's part of the zip file. And it'll have these PDFs, and I just created a 3-ring binder that then you can see physically all of the app pages. And this is all contained on the workbook, so you wouldn't have to do it, but I think it's helpful. Maybe this is enough just for you to get your arms around how big this file is. It's really big. And there's a lot of information that he's got. It's a whole book all by itself. I mean, and you can see even just printing out the static pages, how much text and context there is in here. So yours is still downloaded. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We don't need it today. So
Yeah, mine's 2/3 of the way done.
So when we get to some of those regression activities, I plan to do some of those in class to kind of get you guys started, and so you can use me as a resource and talk to each other and say, hey, how do you do this? And that sort of thing. So the first part we'll do is just to get you going on some of those early problems. And I think that's all I wanted to say for introduction. Let's see, the paper, I guess I do have one more thing to talk about the paper a little bit more, because this is part of your week 1. So down, if you guys go back to your week 1 material, introduction to the final empirical economics paper. This is the big paper, so it's about 44% of your grade, roughly, so almost half of your grade is on this final paper that you're going to do. And so this one right here, if you click that document, it's a Word document, it'll look like this. Writing an empirical economics paper. You guys able to do it? Yeah. Okay. So econ papers have kind of a specific form. As you look at professional economists, that are publishing in journals, that's what you guys are doing here in terms of the skeleton structure. So it's helpful. One of the things I want you to do is to actually read through this whole document. It's an 11-page document, but to get your arms around this paper early on. So there's an introduction, a literature review, which we've done in some other classes, spatial and entrepreneurial, theoretical analysis, and then empirical analysis is where you'll actually be crunching your own data that you find for the paper on whatever your topic is. And you'll be running some regression results or doing something else to present in your paper. And then, of course, your reference page. So this kind of gives you the whole skeleton of what the paper is supposed to look like. There's some helpful hints here on choosing a topic. So this, you might want to highlight this because you do not have to do this. But one data set that's widely available is the Current Population Survey, the CPS. So that's easy to get. But now in today's day and age, data sets are pretty easy to get in general. When I did my dissertation, it was difficult you had to get data shipped to you on a card. Now you can just, download that. And so there's lots of other data sites, but who retires and why, men versus women earnings, the return to college education, who moves and why. As we start to move through some of the material in the front, and then we get into analyzing the data in chapter 5 for our regression, we might peek back to this to start thinking about your paper topic. And then your accessibility, how accessible data is for it. So the literature review, a whole bunch of stuff talking about the JSTOR again. So remember, I have some help for you to get the JSTOR access, which is where probably the majority of econ journals are. So you're probably going to want to use that source.
I ended up finding more on Google Scholar and actually through the databases through the library than I did on JSTOR. At least it worked with my paper. With my
Did it not? Yeah, it could depend on your topic, but did you find that the Google Scholar, once you clicked them, brought you to a JSTOR publication?
A few times. A lot of them were similar, something you'd have to pay for. But
Yeah, you're right. It does depend on the topic. So.
I found a lot of help.
Because specific journals are either in JSTOR or not in JSTOR. So if your topic happened to be one that...
Yeah, I think that's more.
Yeah. All right, so you can see there's lots of support here, empirical results.
Is this all semester or this just 8 weeks?
This is all semester, but we will pretty much complete all of this in about 8 weeks. So we'll kind of quit meeting regularly after 8 weeks. And so my goal is to get us through chapter 5 in about that 8-week time frame. And we can play it a little loose, but that's the idea.
I saw that 8 weeks.
Because then you'll start getting into building up the paper. So here's an example of some of the how you present some of your empirical results. So these models are different runs of a regression. These are different independent variables. And so you're looking for the impact of those independent variables on your dependent variable, whatever that is, whatever your paper topic is. So we'll get you going on how to present results. And that's all in this writing an empirical paper. How many decimal places, a lot of detail all on the format so that you can hopefully write a good paper. So this will be something you'll look at a lot closer once we get there. Now it's about the conclusion. Here's kind of a rubric to think about things that you have included or not included. And that's it. All right. Anything come to mind there? So cadence, we been kind of just walking through the Blackboard shell that really contains all of this will be kind of our home base. It's the same one that I use for the 8-week capstone course. We'll be going the full 16 weeks, but so when it says week 2, we won't necessarily be hard and fast by those deadlines. We might modify that. So think of this as module 1, module 2. So for starters, that initial Excel sheet is the one to work on. And so if there's not any other questions, I'd like to start on that worksheet today as an assignment. You guys can start to dig into it. So yeah, I think you guys all downloaded it, didn't you?
I was able to. I'm gonna wait till the whole thing's done. It's almost done.
Oh,
And then just kind of keep them all together.
okay, yeah, and it won't matter. You can start working on it and kind of save it to the same file. So start here with Excel basics, and you guys start reading this to yourself, and we'll just start working on. He'll give you some problems right away with the growth formula here. So this will be, I think, your first problem is right. Well, I do this. Oh yeah, that's right. We did run it. Who's got the Mac? Awesome. Is yours a PC?
I got a Mac too.
You got a Mac too. Okay. There was a couple things, I can't remember what they were. We eventually got them to work out, but Macs and PCs there's a couple little bugaboos we had to work through. So. Week 1. Okay, so part of when I talk today, I'll have you watch this video. I basically said what this video says and what I told them. Scroll down a little bit more. Right here. So that'll give you an overview of what I just did today before you got here. And then what we're working on right now is this. Download that. The book is directly connected to these Excel apps. So as you read sections of the book and you see this little icon, that means that this particular section of the book has an Excel app associated with it. And these are kind of sprinkled through the book. Sometimes they're with the questions. Chapter 3. So when you do this problem, which is one of your assigned problems, you know that it says Excel app 3.1 shows screenshots of this. So it's kind of deeply integrated with the Excel app in the book. So it shows the little. Oh, or did you just? No. I guess you can. Maybe not grab when we did the clip. I should just So they have a string to be patient.
So does the bookstore have that program?
What's that?
Does the bookstore have it?
It didn't before. It didn't.
I looked at the public this week.
Yeah,
Oh, I
it's
see
over.
it. I saw it.
Oh.
So it's like a bookstore program.
Well, I would just get it. I don't know why it wouldn't have been ordered, other than it's directed study. But like you did with spatial, there's an international one, but I know that the questions are a little bit different. But yeah, the good part is you do have access to all of this before getting the book. And they're probably, if any of you prefer an e-version rather than a hard copy, I think you can probably do it that way as well. It's with Pearson, so most of their books are available that way as well. Okay, so yeah, you can start doing that now. All right, so just so I don't assume everybody knows what they're doing, are you guys okay with this page? Like on this cell, when there's a formula, if you put your cursor over the cell, the formula shows itself up here in the tagline. And if you double click it, which we'll do a lot, it shows you the cell that it's pulling that information from, right? So equals 1,000 times 1 plus n15 raised to the 5th power. And then that's what allows that result to show up there. And if we change this to a 5, then it's 1276. If we change it to 18, 2,288. Why does this one get the value? Why does it give this weird solution value? Yeah, because we got these labels in here. So Excel will recognize the numbers, but if you put something screwy and you try to do a formula, it's going to say, I don't understand it, and then you can go back and correct that.
So it automatically recognizes 4%.
Yes, it's usually smart enough to do whether you have it formatted as 4% or 0.04, and you can express that either way, and it'll solve the problem. I mentioned earlier, Cadence too, that I consider myself to be kind of an Excel expert, but even after going through this, I learned a few new tips and tricks. So even if a lot of it is going to be kind of stuff you'll be able to breeze through it a lot faster. But you might learn a couple new tricks along the way as well. Are you guys all familiar with the $sign deal?
I just saw that.
Okay, that's super important function to know for Excel. Cadence, do you remember that from your class, the $sign? So do you want to explain it?
So the $sign is basically a basis number. So you can like I think it's F4. You can actually rotate it through like one.
Yes. Yep, that's right. So what does it freeze though? And why do you use it? Or why is it helpful? Yes. All right. So if you always want to reference the same cell, then you use $sign, and they work you through this problem. But I want you guys, I just wanted to say it kind of in a nutshell. If you, let me do it with the marker board. When you cut and paste large amounts of data, so you might have 1,000 rows of data, and you want to fill to the right or fill to the left, putting the $sign in front of the cell. So $sign, if we were looking at $sign E, $sign 19, that freezes the cell so that if you cut and paste that formula to other places of the sheet, it always goes back to that cell. They're going to work you through some exercises to understand that. In some cases, you want to just freeze the column or freeze the row. And so then you do $sign E19, which freezes the column, or you can do $sign 19, which freezes the row. And that way, when you fill down or fill right, depending on what you're trying to accomplish with your data set, it'll freeze that. So the referencing sheet examines the significance. So if you click the referencing sheet, that's what he's going to work through those exercises with you. And that's what this sheet is. I just wanted to point that one out because I want you guys to do that one early on. And we're out of time. Oh, yeah. So there, well, it might in different circumstances. So to change the rounding, you can go to the cell, and those little buttons there will add decimals or reduce decimals.
So what's the format?
So the decimals are always there. It's depending on what's being displayed.
What's the format that's this one? Why is this one different?
Oh, with the $sign?
With the $sign.
Okay, so yeah, if you right-click that one. I guess you don't have right-click here, Mac. That's what the format. Format cells, yep. So that'll bring a little dialog box where it can be number, currency, accounting, date, time, percentage.
Yeah, well, it's the same things right here.
Yes. Yeah, just other drop downs for it. So that one's probably as a number, but yeah, and then these are shortcuts too. Like if you wanted to change all those to percentages.
Yeah, and then
that's
the accounting shortcut, but I think it's
right.
That's that.
Yep. Yeah, so it's just different ways of being able to select the numbers.
Yeah, just this whole worksheet I'm talking about.
Yeah, and chapters 1 through 3 and all the problems, all the study questions. So you guys are going to be on your own to basically all the week 1 material that you see in Blackboard. That'll be due for the next time we meet, which is Monday, not this coming Monday, but a week from. And we'll plan on meeting Monday at 3.
Okay, so not Sunday.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't do the Sunday due date. I'll probably, yeah. The existing ones here are on that Sunday to Sunday basis. Sorry, yeah, you did ask me Sunday, so yeah.
Next time.
Right. Right.
Next
But try not to put it all off until
It'll
then.
be,
So
it'll
we're
be
not,
the
so we're not
25th.
meeting at all next.
That's the plan, yeah, because of the Monday 3.
It'll be on the 25th.
Yes, that's probably what I'm asking. But you guys come in and see me if you got any other questions. But I'll expect the worksheets you got all set up and done, and we'll start in with the second week right away after that. And if you want to work ahead, you can.
So what are we turning in actually based things on our Blackboard?
Yes, so all the